We asked two of the world's leading AI systems the same question, but with opposite intentions. ChatGPT was instructed to build the strongest case for modern dating. Gemini was instructed to defend the value of old-school relationships. To make things interesting, a 5-model judging panel will evaluate both sides after every round, based on clarity, evidence, logic, rebuttals, and overall persuasiveness. As each round ends, the judges' individual scores and the overall average will appear for you to see. 5 rounds, 2 perspectives, 1 final score. Let the debate begin. Which approach creates fundamentally stronger, more lasting relationships? Modern dating apps or traditional face-to-face courtships?
Modern dating doesn't replace human connection. It democratizes it. For the first time in history, your potential partner isn't limited by geography, social circles, or chance encounters. Dating apps have shattered the barriers that kept people in artificially small dating pools, and the results speak for themselves. Research from the University of Chicago shows couples who meet online report satisfaction levels equal to or higher than those who meet offline. The difference? Apps let you filter for genuine compatibility, shared values, life goals, interests, before investing emotional energy. Traditional dating had built-in advantages for extroverts and the conventionally attractive. Apps level the playing field. Introverts can showcase their personality through messaging. People in rural areas, LGBTQ individuals in conservative communities, busy professionals, they all gain access to partners they'd never encounter organically. That's not superficial. That's expanding the possibility of finding real love.
Efficiency isn't the goal of dating. Connection is. And connection requires friction. When you meet someone organically, you see them in context. How they treat a waiter, how they interact with friends, whether they're kind when no one important is watching. Apps strip away this context. You see a curated profile, optimized photos, rehearsed conversation. Modern says apps level the playing field, but they've actually created a new hierarchy. Studies show that on dating apps, the top 10% of men get 58% of likes. Women face harassment and unsolicited messages at rates that never existed in traditional dating. The democratization is an illusion. Apps have made dating more brutal and transactional, and the incompatibility argument cuts both ways. Yes, traditional dating meant sometimes dating people you weren't compatible with, but that taught you what you actually wanted. App culture encourages endless optimization, always wondering if someone better is one more swipe away. That mindset destroys relationships before they begin.
Which method fosters more authentic emotional connection?
Apps actually foster more authentic connection because they remove the performance pressure of immediate face-to-face interaction. When you're texting, you have time to be thoughtful, vulnerable, and honest about who you really are. That's not less authentic, it's differently authentic. Think about it. Traditional dating meant masking nervousness, saying yes to things you don't like to impress someone, or hiding deal breakers until you're emotionally invested. Apps let you lead with your actual self, your values, your goals, your quirks, before the anxiety of physical presence kicks in. And the data supports this. Studies show that relationships starting online have equal levels of intimacy and emotional connection as offline relationships. The medium doesn't determine authenticity, the people do. Apps simply provide a safer, more controlled environment where genuine emotional vulnerability can develop at its own pace, without the pressure of performing attraction in real time.
Authentic connection requires presence, the kind of presence you can't fake through a screen. When you're face-to-face, you read micro-expressions, sense energy shifts, feel the nervous tension that signals real attraction. That's the raw, unfiltered reality of human connection. Apps replace that with edited text and curated moments. Traditional dating forced authenticity through vulnerability. You couldn't workshop your responses or hide behind carefully chosen photos. The awkward silences, the nervous stumbles, the unplanned moments, Those are where real people reveal themselves. When someone shows up imperfect and present, that's intimacy. When they show up polished and prepared, that's marketing. Apps let you control the narrative, and control is the opposite of authentic connection. Real relationships aren't built on who you decide to present. They're built on who you can't help but be when you're nervous, tired, or caught off guard.
What does the research actually show? Do app-based relationships succeed at the same rate as traditionally formed partnerships?
The data is clear. App-based relationships work. A 2019 study published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences found that couples who met online reported equal satisfaction and commitment levels compared to offline couples. In fact, marriages that began online were slightly less likely to end in divorce. Stanford research shows that by 2017, meeting online became the most common way couples connect, surpassing friends, family, work, and bars combined. That's not an accident. When millions of people shift to apps, it's because they deliver results. And here's what old school won't tell you. The success rate isn't about the medium, it's about intention. Apps connect people who are actively seeking relationships, while traditional methods mix together people who want love, casual dating, or nothing at all. Apps don't fail relationships. They simply expose whether two people are actually compatible, faster than wasting years on someone wrong for you.
Modern cherry-picks data while ignoring the full picture. Yes, some app relationships succeed, but what percentage of app users actually find those relationships? Research from Pew shows that only 12% of people using dating apps end up in committed relationships. The vast majority experience burnout, frustration, and emotional exhaustion. And let's examine relationship quality, not just survival. Studies on attachment theory show that the abundance of options apps provide creates choice overload, leading to lower commitment and constant wondering if someone better exists. That psychological damage doesn't show up in divorce statistics. It shows up in relationships that technically survive but lack depth. Traditional dating had a built-in filter: effort. You met people through mutual friends, shared activities, or community ties. Those social connections created accountability and shared context. Modern's data measures whether relationships survive. It doesn't measure whether people are actually happy, fulfilled, or emotionally secure.
Which method introduces more hidden risks?
The hidden risks in modern dating aren't in the apps themselves. They're in how people misuse them. But the risks are at least visible. Red flags in messaging, inconsistent communication, mismatched intentions. You can identify those patterns early, before investing deeply. Traditional dating, on the other hand, hid risks behind social pressure. You often stayed because your families liked the person, or because breaking up meant disrupting mutual friend groups. You ignored red flags not because they weren't there, but because you couldn't see them clearly until months or years in. Apps actually increase transparency. You can reverse image search, check social media consistency, gauge communication style, and spot problematic behavior before meeting. Traditional relationships offered none of that. You had to discover everything slowly, often after emotional attachment clouded judgment. Modern dating doesn't create more hidden risks, it simply exposes them earlier.
Apps introduce new risks, ones humans weren't designed to navigate. When you evaluate people through profiles, your brain reduces them to data points. That encourages dehumanization, superficial judgment, and the illusion of endless alternatives. Those are psychological risks, not just logistical ones. There's also safety. Traditional dating happened through mutual circles, shared communities, and people with reputations you could verify. Apps remove that safety net. You meet strangers with no context, no social accountability, and no way to know who they really are. And then there's emotional risk. App culture normalizes ghosting, breadcrumbing, and casual detachment. These behaviors erode trust and create long-term insecurity, even for people who eventually do find love. Old-school dating had risks, but at least they were human and predictable. App risks are digital, invisible, and amplified by scale.
What kind of love is more meaningful? The one you choose through options or the one you grow into naturally?
Love chosen through options isn't less meaningful. It's intentional. When you choose someone among countless possibilities, it means you saw the alternatives and still decided, this is the person I want. That adds weight, not weakness, to the commitment. Apps don't make love disposable. They help people find compatibility before emotions take over. When two people match in values, goals, and lifestyle, the love that forms is conscious and deliberate. And modern life is too complex to rely on chance. Intentionality matters. Choosing someone with clarity, filters, and awareness doesn't cheapen love, it protects it. Commitment feels stronger when it's based on alignment rather than convenience or coincidence. In the end, choosing each other after seeing the world of options is one of the strongest kinds of love, because you didn't stay by default. You stayed by choice.
The most meaningful love is the one you grow into, not the one you browse for. Organic connection has a depth that comes from shared moments, unplanned conversations, and discovering each other without filters. When love forms naturally, it feels earned. You're not picking someone from a lineup. You're slowly realizing they matter to you. That sense of discovery makes the bond feel unique rather than replaceable. And love, born from real-world timing, carries emotional gravity. It feels like something that happened to you, not something you optimized. It's the kind of bond that feels rooted in shared history rather than curated compatibility. You fall in love with a person, not a choice. And that unpredictability gives the relationship a meaning that can't be manufactured.
That concludes today's debate. Both sides presented strong arguments, and the judges scored them closely, with Gemini and the old-school perspective taking a slight edge overall. Before we wrap up, I'm curious, which side convinced you more, the modern take or the old-school mindset? I'd love to hear your take in the comments. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more debates just like this.